Hi, my name is Kathy Pelucio, and I am going to, hopefully in less than 15 minutes, give you an introduction to our Blackboard OER shell for public speaking. So here it is. Now I want to tell you up front that for some reason the cursor is just not showing up. So I'm going to be moving around a little bit repetitively like this so you can see the area that I'm talking about that's highlighted. And if you miss something, just rewind for a few seconds and you'll be able to see, I guess, where I was. So here we go. First of all, every section of every course at Mercer County College now has a Blackboard page attached to it, whether people use it or not. And the college is trying to get everyone to use a shell. And you may not use all of these tools, but as a minimum, what you want to start with is making sure that you have a syllabus and also grading policies that are posted in Blackboard in some way so that the students can calculate how their grades are determined. Also, you need to have some way that students can contact you, information about contacting you online or office hours or whatever. So this is a basic minimum to start with. So now I'm going to walk you around the shell a little bit. Now I want to mention that this does not replace any sort of training for Blackboard. Training for Blackboard is offered through the Mercer Online office. Mercer Online appears at the top left corner of your screen. To the top right corner of your screen, where I'm swiping over now, you'll see a help button where you can click to get tutorials on how to do things in Blackboard. Another way to do it, of course, is to go to Google if you're super lazy like me and type in things like how to hide a link in Blackboard, and Google usually gives you a bunch of videos. But do not be afraid to contact Mercer Online because they are very nice people and willing to help you. So definitely set up a training for yourself if you haven't already done so. And I strongly suggest, and I'm highlighting to the bottom left of your screen now, the grade book. This one is empty, but it's a really good idea to set up a training or find out when the trainings are for your grade book in Blackboard because it's very useful. You can pull up all kinds of reports on your students, and most important, your students can always look online and see where they stand in the class for retention purposes, and so there's no surprises at the end of the semester. Mercer Online will send you emails through your Mercer email address. Often will they send you emails about trainings because they have them all year round, as well as ways to self-train and tidbits about Blackboard. Okay, so let's go through some of these folders. Now again, this is the OER, public speaking shell. OER meaning Open Educational Resources, meaning there is no textbook. It is a virtual textbook. And so I will show you some of our folders that are filled with stuff and some that are empty for your use. So right now I'm clicking on announcements, and that is going to take us to the announcement folder, which is up at the top. You'll see the word announcements, which is how you know you're in the right folder. Currently, there are no announcements, so I'm going to actually click here on create an announcement. And you can title your announcement, I am freaking out about BB, which is what we call it in my class, lovingly, and any sort of message that you want to write to your students, you would hit submit. Submit is located on the right-hand side here, and also usually submit is at the bottom on the right side as well. So if you scroll up or down, you'll find it. Now, the cool thing about sending an announcement to your students is that it will appear in the announcement folder as you create these announcements, but also if you scroll down, you can click this box in the number 2 area called Web Announcement Options. You can click this box and it will send a copy of this announcement immediately to their email. And also, many students now have the Blackboard app on their phone, so the beauty of that is if they're on the beach and you submit, there you go, beach, an announcement to them, many of them will get it immediately on their phone, which is awesome. So even if they're on the beach, they will know they have a paper due in 24 hours. And I'm going to cancel out of this because we're certainly not sending that silly message. But this is the folder that I'm kind of highlighting where you want to think about creating announcements, especially for their first time that they're touching Blackboard before your class. It's a good idea to send a greeting. There is a sample greeting to your students in the lessons folder, which I'm highlighting over here on the left, but we'll get to that in a moment. The next folder, which is very important to you, is called Syllabus, Policies, and Contracts. I'm highlighting it on the left. And in this folder, you will see there are two items. One is the general program course outline, and another one is your real syllabus, my fake syllabus. These little arrows that are located next to all of the titles, as you see, I'm kind of highlighting over it because you can't see my cursor. If you were to click on it, you can delete it. So please make sure when you go in here to delete mine so you don't lose credibility with your students. But up here you will see an edit button where you could edit something that was already in there, or I'm actually going to close this little menu out, and I'm highlighting over the build content area with my cursor. As you see in build content, you can click on syllabus, I'm not going to do that now, and build your syllabus. And I know you already have a syllabus as an instructor, but instead of PDFing it and making photocopies, this is a good time to start loading pieces of your syllabus digitally into Blackboard so that you can just tweak it every semester and roll it over. Your master shell, your OER shell, will simply be rolled over at your request every semester by contacting Mercer Online. And they'll send you an email when it's time to think about doing that. But that's the beauty of having a Blackboard shell and building your own syllabus, because you can just keep tweaking it a little bit every semester and not have to do the entire thing. Now I'm going to go back to this first item, which is the course outline, and I am going to click on that, but I think it's a PDF. Yes, it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring up the one that I pulled up already so you can see it and we don't have to wait for me to download it. This is a course outline. All courses at all colleges have a course outline. A course outline is an umbrella for a course, meaning there's many sections of a course, and you do have the academic freedom to teach your course in the way you want, but all courses must stick to this approved document, which takes a long time to write, is constantly under revision, and is kind of technically a state document in which the college says, this is what we commit our students will be able to do when they leave the class. So I want to just draw your attention to two items on here. Now, certainly you don't have to give this to your students in Blackboard, but I suggest you just leave it in there because it's not hurting anything and you can refer back to it. In the middle of this document, you will see our new text, which is technically not a book at all. It's called The Public Speaking Project, a virtual text at publicspeakingproject.org. So you are the big hero as you announce to your students, and you should, that there is no textbook, that they should be very excited to be one of the first groups of students at Mercer County College to no longer be using textbooks. And that's a commitment that we're making to our students to save them money as community college students. So they will get very excited about that, and you want to tell them as early as you can so they don't go and buy anything and then have to try and return it. I am scrolling down to the bottom of page 1 to show you the most important thing about any course outline. This is a list of goals. Usually there are 5 to 7 goals in any course that have been approved and agreed upon by the full-time faculty cluster and by the curriculum committee as the goals for each course. This is basically what your students need to accomplish when they leave your class. And not only do they need to accomplish it, but in these days of assessment and middle states, at any time, any one of us can be asked to demonstrate that our students are completing these goals. Now, how you complete these goals are completely up to you, whether it's by project, assignment, test, whatever you want. But as you build a syllabus and revise your course, please always come back to the goals and make sure that you can demonstrate in your class that these basic areas are being covered. Okay, so let's get out of the course outline because you can look at that later, and we'll go back to our Blackboard page. All right, so I have shown you the syllabus, policies, and contract folder here on the left, and there are 2 items in that folder. The first one is the course outline, which can stay, and the second one is a syllabus that you should delete and put your own one in. There's also a contract, although it's not in this folder. Some instructors have their students sign a contract at the beginning of the semester that says, I understand what I have read in this Blackboard shell. And you can find a sample of that in the lessons folder, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So don't forget to look for that if you're interested. Next folder, assignments and rubrics. Now this is empty. And the reason why it's empty is you're going to build your assignments and rubrics the way you want them to. Now I am highlighting the build content button once again because obviously you can copy files in here. You can build things from scratch. You can put in web links and then ask them a question. But here's what makes the OER shared shell for all of us great. We have this bucket, this folder called Lessons on the left here, highlighting that. And this is an extremely detailed resource for you to use to help build your shell if you want. So I'm just going to show you 3 areas. The first one is called Speech and Assignments and Rubrics. The other one is Course Resources, Tools, and Announcements and Samples. And the rest of it is our textbook. So first we're going to go to the folder marked Speech, Assignments, and Rubrics. And I'm going to click on that and show you what is there. Now, these folders are filled with donations. Donations from full-time faculty, some of the peer adjunct faculty, your colleagues, as well as some information from online. These are samples of speeches and assignments and rubrics that have been used successfully, and you are certainly welcome to steal any of these. There's obviously the kind of speeches that are based on delivery, the funsy kind of speeches, and then we also have research speeches as well as rubrics, especially persuasive speaking rubric, which is really very useful, blah, 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 blah. So I'll give you time to look through that on your own. But I want to say that we know that our assignment and rubrics folder is empty. I'm highlighting on the left, I just showed you, and everything is in lessons. What you want to do is, I wouldn't delete anything out of this shell, simply because you don't know if you're going to want to look at it later. And if you accidentally delete something off of this shell, it's very difficult for you to get it back. In some cases, you might have to start over with a brand new shell. So what you want to do is hide things from your students so they're there and you can work on them, but not reveal them to the students until you want. Every single item has that little gray arrow that comes up, that little menu arrow, and when you click on it, one of your options is called Hide Link. That means that you can see it, but your students can't see it. So it's a really good idea, obviously, to hide the lessons link, because that's your treasure chest of stuff, and students might accidentally think that these are all their assignments and start doing them, which has happened before when you don't hide things. But you may want to make a folder or rename this folder Assignments and Rubrics and keep that not hidden and fill it up with the assignments in the order you want the students to do it. Now, without a cursor, this is kind of hard to show you, but I'm going to do it anyway. On the top right-hand corner, I am highlighting something that looks like an eyeball. This is the student preview button. This shows you how to see what your students see, and it's a very important button. You'll use it a lot. So I'm going to click on it now, and you're going to watch a yellow band come up on your screen. I am now in the student preview. If you look at the top, it tells you that. This is what the students see. Now, right now, they see nothing in announcements because I didn't put anything in there. But if I did, it would show up. One thing that's important when you're flipping back and forth between what they can see and what you can see when you're trying to hide stuff is that don't forget to exit out of the student preview when you're done, because it's very common to forget you're in student preview and go looking for something in your folders and find it missing and go crazy looking for it and then realize, oh, I'm looking from the student view. It's hidden. So make sure you exit the preview, as I'm doing in the top right-hand corner. This is just a default. You can read it if you want, but basically this is the default for us. So just hit continue. whenever you exit out of Student Preview, and it will take you back to where we were. So now I'm going to go back to that lessons folder where I showed you speech assignments and rubrics, okay? And I'm going to show you how to hide an assignment from your student when it's not one of these items in the left-hand corner. So first of all, you want to open the file, the folder up, and go into a project. So I'm going to go into, I don't know, I'm going to go into this rubric award speech. And what you want to do is, if you're changing some part of it, you're going to edit it. And then while you're in edit for this award speech rubric, scrolling down, there is a button here that says, the number 3, permit users to view this content, yes or no. When you click no and hit submit in the right-hand corner, it will remove the item from what they see, but not from what you see. If you want them to see it, you click yes. Probably the smartest way to do that is simply make the entire folder not viewable. But if you're in a particular folder and you're just working on something and you don't want them to see it yet, definitely make sure you hide it the way I just showed you to. Now, back to lessons. The second part of the lessons folder has a lot of other really good examples. Again, donations from a lot of full-time faculty. Certainly you don't have to use any of this if you don't want, but you can edit anything in here, such as this sample syllabus. And when you go into it, you can change it how you want, you can rename it, you can move it into your assignments folder. So if I liked this the way it is, or I edited it, I could then click move. It would ask me what folder to put it in, and then I could put it right in my assignments and rubrics folder. So as you start loading things into assignments and rubrics, also remember that if you don't like the order that something is in, such as in this folder, when you swipe to the left, as I'm doing, you'll see this green stripy area come up. That means it's ready to grab. And you can move things around. So the beauty of this is in any folder, you can move things in the order you want the students to take a look at it. Sometimes that's a really good thing to do. Okay, one more time, back to that lessons folder, and I'm going to show you the virtual textbook. So now, we've looked at the 2 folders filled with resources, but there's more. There are folders that have the virtual text chapters in them, as well as resources that have something to do with chapters 1 and 2. So I'm just going to click on chapters 1 and 2. The reason why they're clustered together is this is generally the way these courses can be taught. They usually teach 1 and 2 at the same time. You certainly don't have to do that. I'm going to reorder this actually, because I want 1 above 2. Not only are the 2 virtual text chapters in here, but again, we have collected resources that have something to do with chapters 1 and 2. So there might be some really useful things in here that you could again move to the assignments file or just pull up in class or click on if you want to show them, such as this American Rhetoric website. All right, let's look at the chapter. When you click on the chapter, it's going to bring you to the virtual textbook. And as we saw in the course outline, publicspeakingproject.org, there's plenty to look at on the right-hand side if you want, but if you look on the center, under chapter 1, there are 2 buttons, download color and download grayscale. You can do whatever you want, but I just usually click on grayscale because it's just faster. And here is our virtual textbook. And as you see, it looks a great deal like all of the textbooks that we've been using. This one is very credible. It's the best one we found and the most similar to our textbook and our course outline. It looks just like a page in a textbook, and just like any textbook, it has all the bells and whistles. When you get to the bottom of the page, there are review questions as in a textbook that you might want to convert into test questions. There's activities to do related to the chapter reading. And obviously, if you ever want to talk about other activities related to the chapter readings, please talk to the full-time faculty. We're so happy to talk about this with you and make suggestions and give advice and also steal your good ideas as well. So I just want to, I don't think it's going to highlight, but if you look in the top left corner, you're going to see a download button with the arrow, and you're going to see the print button, again, located in the top right corner. And if a student wants to print or download this textbook, they can. Now, please do not get into the habit of trying to photocopy pages of the textbook for our students. Our students are usually transferring to a four-year school, and at the four-year schools, that's all they're really going to run into is a lot of virtual textbooks. So although it might be uncomfortable for everybody in the beginning, it's really important that they get used to the kind of technology that they're going to be using at a four-year school. So if they want to print or download, you can always indicate to them that these buttons in the top right corner are there. So that is where your virtual textbook is. So now we're just going to go back to Blackboard one more time. And I've showed you now on the left announcements, where your syllabus can go and our course outline is located. Assignments and rubrics, which is an empty folder that you can move things into, so you're not tearing apart your lessons folder. And also there's one more area that I want you to see, and it's called contacting or visiting your instructor. Okay, so now this is a folder where you want to put information about how to get in touch with you, whether it's through email, phone call, cell phone, other ways to do it, office hours, whatever it is you want them to know. I'm going to click on this and hope Mike Kaspersky doesn't say I'm doing some phishing. Oh, apparently it's not right now. That's good. So this is just an example of what I do. There's me, if you didn't recognize me. Here's some candy in my office. My candy's better than that candy. And then information that I want them to know about how I will get in touch with them and when I will get in touch with them. And then I usually put some funny stuff at the bottom to make them smile. They really respond to like the funny stuff on Blackboard. It's a good way to bond with them. They like to read that kind of stuff too. And so you can edit this however you want, but do make sure that you have some information in here. And then please delete my stuff when you put your stuff in, because Lord knows we don't want all the public speaking students contacting me for information about your class. That would be crazy, and my husband would probably kill me for that one. But I hope that this has been somewhat helpful to you. Remember, on the top right-hand corner, the help button is a great place to go for tutorials on specific things. And don't be afraid to start contacting Mercer Online for any of your training needs, group trainings, self-trainings, computer trainings, or just help with anything specific that you want to know how to do. Thank you so much, and I'm just going to get out of this right now.